Hey, David Reece, how you doing?
Greetings, Brian. Hey,
Good.
man, long
Hey,
time.
yeah, couple years, So, you're living in Italy, right?
Yes, sir. Been here
Right,
since December of 2014.
right. I remember last time we talked, you said you lived there, and you were telling me about the food and all the good stuff about Italy and stuff like that. You know. Now,
Yeah, man.
congratulations on the new album coming out October 21st on AMF Records, Blood
Thank
In,
you.
Blood Out.
Thank you.
Congratulations on that. Tell me
Thank
a
you.
little bit how this project got together.
Believe it or not, we both played in the same band at different times in our life.
Right.
Um, we had never personally met. We
Mhm.
had played probably 10 different festivals over our careers where I saw he was on the marquee and he saw I was, but we played
Right.
on a different day or at a different time, and we never physically met.
Right.
Um, 20 April 21, I got a message on Facebook one day from Herman Frank, and I thought, interesting, what does he want?
Right.
And he said, hi, Dave, I've been thinking about this for a few years. What do you think about trying to write some songs together and see what happens? And I said, yeah, let's try it. And frankly, he sent me two tracks that ripped my head off. I mean, he's always been one of my favorite guitar players on the planet. And I wrote the lyrics to those two tracks, I guess it was, in about a day. And I booked studio time and went and tracked it and sent it right back to him, completely
Right.
edited and all the harmonies and everything. And he wrote back. Well, actually, he sent the film back and he was holding his fingers like this. And you could
Right.
see him smoking a cigarette and the tip of his boot tapping to the groove.
Oh, cool.
And he
Yeah.
said, this is great, Dave. I said, yeah, it's pretty friggin' cool. And incidentally, Mario Percadani, I was in his studio where I did the demos. And, Mario's not a metal guitarist. And while we were tracking, he looked at me and said, who's the guitar player on this? I said, Herman Frank. And he goes, that dude gets it, man.
Yeah.
He goes, because the guitar players, they know that hand thing, it's in the
Right.
hand.
Uh-huh.
So that's how it all came into fruition. And then from there, we decided to continue writing. But we said, look, we got to meet in person and see if we can get along and
Right.
get through that thing. So he drove down with his wife, a long drive from Hanover, Germany to where I live.
Right.
And we had a lovely time. We went to an authentic Italian restaurant, an
Uh-huh.
ancient one, and real handmade food, and spent probably 12 hours together that day and said, this is good. So then we proceeded to write the rest of the record together. And I think by August of last year, we had finished the demo part of it. And yeah, it went really fast.
Cool. Cool. Was there any shopping the music around, or are you already set?
We had shopped to a few labels and everybody really wanted it.
Right.
But his home is AFM.
Uh-huh.
And I always honestly wanted to be on the label.
Right.
And it never seemed to connect for me with them. But this combination, they jumped all over it. And they've
Right.
been fabulous. They offered us a reasonable deal with everything, media, videos, the whole thing. So it was like the old days in a
Right.
sense.
Hmm.
It's a metal label. I mean, they
Right.
know what it takes to break an act.
Right. Wow. Do you consider this a band or just a project?
It's a band.
Okay, cool.
I kind of got away from the whole band thing because I did so many different projects and all that blah blah. And then I went solo,
Right.
and I had reasonable success with it. Started with Resilient Heart, then Cacophony of Souls, and then Blacklist Utopia, which was released the same week as this damn pandemic that exploded in Italy. It
Right.
actually, the breakout was 30 minutes from my house.
Wow.
And I was doing pretty well with that. And then he shows up. And frankly, when you put two guys with the names that we have and our history and the way the record was coming together, I knew this was potentially something that could really open up a lot of doors. And it certainly has, musically, promoter wise, touring. So we're both really happy. We're both the leaders of the band and the main songwriters.
Mhm.
So it's not just a project, although he will probably continue doing Victory,
Right.
on and off. I'll do maybe another solo album. I'm kind of diddling around right now.
Uh-huh.
with some ideas. But right now, my focus is Iron Allies.
The hair looks good.
It's growing. I
Yeah.
still got it. I guess
Yeah.
I'm lucky. I mean, at my age,
Uh-huh.
I'm lucky to get out of bed without moaning too much. But
Right.
pretty good.
Yeah.
I've been sober for over 4 years now, completely alcohol free.
Uh-huh.
I'm in pretty good shape, and I believe in health first, and that seems to have kept my voice, I guess, working.
Uh-huh.
Because I don't know how much longer I could have carried on the way I was drinking. It was getting really bad. So
Right. Oh, oh. Uh, you're talking about touring and stuff like that. Is there a lot of venues in Italy that you could play, or how's that?
there are in the north of Italy and way down south. One problem we're suffering all over Europe is the bottleneck of all the makeup dates from the
Right.
pandemic. So every night of the week there's another band in the venues. So it's kind of overkill.
Right.
Um, like say for instance, a few weeks ago I went to see Ellis and Soto,
Uh-huh.
say hi to the guys.
Right.
Pretty well good crowd, but I think 2 days later Testament was playing in the same city.
Right.
So the economy being as it is, people are counting those euros and thinking, well, do I go see Soto or do I go see Testament?
Right.
So it's a challenge
Uh-huh.
right now. But after this bottleneck kind of opens up, I think 2023 is going to be a lot easier.
Right.
We're our booking agent right now is in negotiations with lots of festivals and club dates for us. So I think we got a pretty good shot at getting a strong tour.
Right. Well, United States, how it is at the club scene, like it's impress me and see what you could put up for me. Fans don't really show up that often, but bigger venues, pretty much sell out. So the club
Yeah,
scene's not great, but the bigger venues are.
it's all a packaging thing now.
Right.
A lot of name bands go out together to fill the rooms. I think it's a pity for like starting out bands to go out and play for 10 people. I mean,
Right.
I've done it. We've all done it who've played that game. I've done it up until 2 years ago. I mean,
Right.
I've done gigs with 1,000 people, and then the next night 50.
Right.
Um, it's a shame because there's a lot of great young bands out there that aren't getting the attention they deserve.
Right. Definitely. Definitely. Let's get to the Blood In, Blood Out. Tell me a little bit how long that album, take to write, complete, get it to the label, everything done.
I think the deal was signed in August last year.
Right.
It took about that much time to complete the demos. It wasn't the finished stuff that we sent them. They wrapped their arms around it and said, "Yeah, let's make a deal." In March of this year, we all went to Hanover to actually record in a real studio
Right.
together.
Yeah. Cool.
Francesco played real drums.
Hmm.
Jovino, the guy's a monster. He had just recovered from a broken left wrist, and he played the 12 tracks in about a total of 8 hours time in 2 days. And I remember one of the engineers looking at me and saying, "Do you realize the impact and the power of his left hand has not waned at all in this
Right.
session?" I said, "Yeah, that's Francesco Jovino."
Right. Yeah.
And from there we tapped into vocals and bass, and it was like an old school studio. It's called Horace. They've done a lot of Halloween work there, Guano Apes. I mean, some hit records have come out of that place.
Right.
Magic, like the old days. Had an
Right.
apartment upstairs. We could live together. Um, Amazing time. And producing yourself on the internet and doing files, you're not giving your 100% performance. You need somebody behind the glass,
Right.
giving the thumbs up or down.
Mhm.
And
Uh,
Herman will definitely give you the thumbs down if he's not happy, which I really like. He wanted the best out of me and I him. So, I mean, it was really positive. A lot of energy.
cool. 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 You have any particular favorite song on this album? I'll tell you mine. Destroyer of
Give me
Night.
yours first. Give me
Destroyers of
yours first.
Destroyers of Night.
Okay. Destroyers of the Night.
Yeah.
Actually, it's the next video, which will be
Uh-huh.
released on the 20th of October.
Right. That's my favorite tune. On
Thank
that
you.
album. Yeah. Definitely.
I love it too.
Uh-huh.
I love Blood on the Land.
Uh-huh.
I'm a big fan of Evil the Gun. I
Cool.
also love We Are Legend
Uh-huh.
and Truth Never Mattered. I mean, what the hell? I love the whole record. I mean,
Right.
that's rare for me to say,
Cool.
but I'll take a break for a few days from it, and then I'll crank it up in my earbuds and kind of sit back in my easy chair. And I said, man, that's a damn good record.
What was the last band that you saw live?
Actually, I went to see Ellison Soto
Huh?
at the Legend Club 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Um, it was really cool because they played their new album and then they did a mashup at the end as an encore of like Electric Eye and Rebel Yell, and then they added Peace Cells, and then they put in Symphony, and the crowd went absolutely bonkers. It's good to see Jeff and Dave again. They had some Italians in the band as their
Uh-huh.
backup band.
Right.
Phenomenal.
Wow.
Really great energy. I mean, probably 300 people.
That's good.
And yeah, it was a lot of steam coming out of that room. It was great. I've been to a lot of gigs at that club. I've seen UFO there, you name it. A lot of bands come through there.
You were just mentioning possibility of another solo album. Can you give me any hints, or you're definitely going to
Well,
do it?
I'm writing it.
Uh-huh.
I'm not your typical AOR pop lyric writer.
Right.
It's pretty deep shit, and so I've got four that I really like so far,
Uh-huh.
um, and about another 12 ideas bouncing around in my squirrel box in my head.
Uh-huh.
But I'm taking my time with it. It's just it's more of a I'm focused on promoting Iron Allies and the tour and everything. But when there's downtime, that's the devil's playground for me. So I force myself to sing every day about 2 hours to my favorite singers. I'll rehearse and then I'll just sit down with pen and paper and then start creating a story.
Right.
And then I'll come up with like a melody and see if it bounces around. And then I record it on my phone, my other phone, which is about to blow up actually. It's probably 12 years old. So I need
Uh-huh.
to get another little toy
Right.
to keep my process. But yeah, I'm fooling around with it. I think Herman will do another Victory album probably. He's got a fabulous singer,
Right.
Swiss guy. Um, and they probably will do another solo album too. But right now we're both just kind of focused on Iron Allies.
Right. Right. Anything about a tour or some shows coming up?
Well, we actually have talked to some people in Canada.
Uh-huh.
We're talking about all the major festivals in Europe, obviously,
Right.
um, and maybe a club tour in the United States. Because if we go to Canada, we might as well head south.
Right.
That's all come into fruition over the last 7 days or so. And then today, I was contacted from Denmark and Sweden,
Right.
and I've played tons of shows up there. So I actually just did some solo gigs myself. I was in Hamburg. I headlined a Friday night gig. It was a lot
Uh-huh.
like Firefest
Right.
at the Market Hall,
Hmm.
and we sold it out. It was amazing, amazing gig. We had Pretty Maids there. Oh, not Pretty Maids. We had Ronnie was there and a bunch of bands, and Heat was there. And
Hmm.
it was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday thing.
Right.
The Aaron played. It was amazing.
Uh,
And I got a couple of solo gigs coming up in October and November that I have
right.
to fulfill that I had booked years ago. But for Iron Allies is probably with the bottleneck we discussed. The doors should open early January, mid-January after the Christmas holiday. People return to their desk
Right.
and get serious. But we've had some pretty substantial offers in the last 3 months. I think, the validation that it's a band and talking to people like you, of course, the promoters are watching what's going on because they want to fill rooms as well.
Right.
And the publicity the record's getting has been really great. So, and the guys that are in the band helps a lot,
Right.
you know,
Uh,
as fans of all of us and as a collective, you know.
right. Yeah. Wow. Wow. You ever get tired of giving out autographs or stuff like that?
No,
No.
no. We just talked about this the other day. I actually took a train for that Hamburg gig because
Right.
flights were just ridiculous for five guys.
Yeah.
So we took a train from Piacenza, Italy to Hamburg, which took about 18 hours.
Uh-huh.
And wasn't too bad. You can stand up and walk around. We know we had to transfer a few times, but you can put your guitars and your heads and stuff up above you. And, a couple of guys started getting kind of tweaky, about 8 or 9 hours into it. And I said, yeah, this is long.
Right.
But that 90-minute set and the people afterwards, it's
Right.
all worthwhile. And then I stayed the promoter was so kind, Oliver Longa, that he let me stay an extra night. We got there on a Thursday,
Right.
rehearsed Thursday night, played Friday, and got to stay Saturday in the rooms. We had our own rooms, great
Right.
hotel and meals, and hang out with all the other bands, Marcello and all the guys. And
Right.
I never get tired of that. I went Saturday, and the people that had seen me Friday night were like, "Hey, I didn't get to see you last night. You know, where's your merch? And it's over there. Will you
Right.
sign it?" And I mean, I'm blessed. I mean,
Right.
if you get tired of that, you need to change careers.
Right. Yeah. Wow. Wow.
You know, you do. I mean,
Yeah.
it's without them, there's no me.
Is there anything different about touring now than say years ago?
All musicians are still manic lunatics. That hasn't changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's drama around every corner when you're touring with a bunch of lunatics, smelly
Right.
guys, and yeah, I would say the downsizing of logistics to make
Uh-huh.
it affordable is
Right.
one
Yeah.
big one.
Yeah.
You know, you're going out in a Sprinter van now with 12 seats and a trailer.
Uh-huh.
Used to have a 45-foot bus, you know, and a hotel room to take a shower. That's
Right.
all kind of frittered away.
Right.
You know, fees are a little different. Gas is definitely a crunch.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Um, I kind of try to envision in my head how they're going to go electric and have electric buses and everything, and how we're going to charge a bus. That means we probably would have to play that town where that
Right.
charging station is. How is that going to work?
Yeah.
There's all kinds of challenges that, you know, even electric airplanes they're talking about over here. So it's definitely you gotta be willing to do. It's almost kind of like it was when I started. You
Right.
know, there's much less
Right.
involved. You know, there's really not a lot of luxury. A lot of doubled up rooms. You know,
Right.
or what we call A&O hotels, where
Uh-huh.
8 guys are sleeping in the same room with one
Yeah.
bathroom.
Yeah. Well.
But you got to make it work.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. How you feel about vinyl making a resurgence?
I feel great. I mean, I
Yeah.
got the vinyl here of Iron Allies. I got the white vinyl and the black vinyl. I mean,
Uh-huh.
I love opening it up and looking at the pictures, and it's like nostalgic. It's
Right.
like, you know, I mean, I know there's a limited amount of PVC plastic available in the world, and we know where that comes from
Right.
oil.
Uh-huh.
So that created a huge problem, but AFM are still on top of it, that they kind of saw it coming.
Uh-huh.
So it's available on vinyl,
Hmm.
white or black,
Right.
and CD, Digipack. I think it's a great thing. I mean, I went shopping for turntables the other day, actually, and I saw some that had like a laser, like a CD player, and then I
Right.
found one with a real diamond.
Wow.
But it's expensive. But I've got a Kenwood down in the basement, and I got an old Pioneer. So
Wow.
if I can find the needle,
Yeah, both of them were top-notch components.
yeah, and
Uh-huh.
I've got the Marantz power tuner or power amp
Right.
with the AFM dial, and I've got some old speakers that my wife has kept since like 1980.
Uh-huh.
And I'm thinking about just hooking it all up if I can get a real new needle and put it on and then crank it.
Right.
Because I've
Yeah.
got a bunch of vinyl, and she has a collection of over 1,000 pieces that she's had since she
Right.
was a kid
Yeah.
that we saved. It was actually flooded in the basement, but she was smart enough to put it in wax boxes
Right.
and cover it in plastic. So we rescued it from the other house that we sold.
Wow. I'm just wondering if you could get a diamond needle anymore. You know?
They say it's available, but I'm having a problem finding it. I don't even think it's a diamond, the ones they were selling.
Probably
They
not.
were, I think it's like some type of metal piece or something, but I would love to find one. That
Right. Yeah.
sound, that crackle,
Right.
I
Definitely.
miss it.
Definitely.
I
Yeah.
listen, if I'm listening to a stream, in the car or something, it actually, the hiss of
Right.
the digital hurts my ears. I
Right. Yeah.
can't listen to it. It's like a snake hissing over the sound.
Yeah. Yeah. You have any other merchandise available?
Well, I mean, I've got a lot of my back catalog here that I'm selling directly off Facebook
Okay.
to people, and if they're interested, I have it here, and I'm reasonable. I don't, I know it's difficult to buy from like the UK for the Europeans, so I sell directly here, and
Right.
then I have UK friends because of the Brexit thing.
Right.
And the only problem with shipping to America is it usually takes about a month.
Right. Yeah.
But I've been really lucky with that. A lot of friends, are buying back stuff that I've had here. I've got stacks of CDs and boxes.
Have you done any guest appearances on any other artist music?
hmm
Tell me something.
Well, I kind of contradiction to what I was talking about being solo and wanting to be in a band.
Right.
During the pandemic, probably after about the first 6 months, everybody was losing their mind. All the
Right.
bands I know.
Uh-huh.
I got contacted by Jimmy Waldo from Alcatraz and a guy named Steve Rosen. Do you know who he
Mhm.
is?
I think I do.
Steve wrote for Guitar Magazine and
Right.
Rolling Stone.
Okay. Yeah.
He interviewed everybody and their brother.
Uh,
Yeah, I mean, and his thing was, all right, I'll get you the cover or the exclusive if you
right.
promise to play on my album one day. Well, Jimmy calls me up and says, hey, Steve's ready to do a record. Would you want to sing on it and write to it? I said, yeah, sure. What's going on? I didn't know
Right.
who was going to play on it. So we
Right. Yeah.
got Satriani,
Oh,
we
wow.
got Bumblefoot, we got Gilbert, we got Kane, Roberts,
Uh,
we got everybody. But the funny thing about it, the project was called Highway Sentinels,
uh-huh.
and it even with that star power, it really didn't do anything. And it's a great
Wow.
album.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought, wow, I'm in the company of kings.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it didn't really stick. And
Right.
then I found the original demos for Bangalore Choir. A
Wow.
guy that I know had actually stolen them from a safe in the studio. He had been fired from the band
Uh-huh.
and went in and said that we told him to go collect the masters,
Right.
and which nobody did.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I got some weird guy a few years ago calling and asking for a huge amount of money and I could have them back. And I said, it doesn't work that way, pal.
Yeah.
I'm going to call my lawyer. Well, after going back and forth, mysteriously, I got all of that stuff that didn't
Right.
make the album. Plus the songs that did make the album, but
Right.
what it is 8-track recordings, DAT, all that stuff. So I just sat down and listened to everything. I'm, oh my God, why didn't we put that on Target? That's such a great song. But the
Right.
suits told us what was going to go on the record. So what I
Right.
did was I took it into a studio here in town and we remixed it and produced it. A guy named Ricardo Di Morosi mixed and mastered it with me.
Uh-huh.
And it's called Beyond Target. And I've got that here.
Uh-huh.
Songs that nobody knew were even available, which,
Right. Yeah.
like I said, should have made the record.
Right.
I did that. And then I did this Bulgarian band called John Steele that
Uh-huh.
I'd done a bunch of gigs with. And they asked me to do an album with them. And, I was in dire straits, dude. I mean,
Right.
I couldn't leave my house for 6 months. My wife could go to work or go to the grocery store.
Right.
So I just sat here and wrote songs. And I did that John Steele album, which did fairly well. And I actually just got back from Bulgaria last week, I think. Yeah, I did 3 shows with them. Great band. This
Uh-huh.
kind of progressive metal, Maiden style.
Right.
I've got a couple of other things I did. I just can't remember. But I stayed busy. But
Hmm.
but contractually, AFM said, okay, dude, you've got all these records that you did. If we sign you, you can release nothing 30 or 9 months or 3 months prior or 3 months after Iron Allies.
Uh-huh.
So one of the mistakes that were made is they were all released on the same day. So 3 Dave albums came out in July,
Right.
which, there's nothing I can do to control it because you can't hold the other labels hostage. But I stayed really busy and I managed to keep the house and the car payments and feed the family. I got lucky.
Yeah. Wow.
But
Well,
I don't want to do that again. I mean,
yeah.
it's overkill. I mean, I really just want to focus on Iron Allies and then maybe a solo album. It
Mhm.
depends on how Iron Allies does. I
Right.
mean, nobody knows, but
Uh-huh.
judging by the response, Brian, it's been amazing. All day today, I've been doing press, and
Yeah.
the thing that stuck out with me was the energy that was realized on the album, and that it sounded like a cohesive unit.
Right.
And I really like that to
Right.
hear
Yeah.
that.
Cool. Cool. I mean, the album's phenomenal. I love the
Thank
music.
you.
Everything about it. Like, I listen to it over and over again, and like trying to pick out my favorite tune and stuff I like. The guitar playing was amazing, and the
Yeah.
whole thing was amazing. It was a really enjoyable album just to sit back and put the headphones on and listen to. You know, so
A guy told
congratulations.
me, thank you. A guy told me when he first turned it on, he was doing something at the desk, computer, cranked it behind him, and he said, I found myself punching the air and running around in circles, sweating profusely. And I had to turn it off and go take a shower. And I said, that's a great compliment.
Yeah.
And he goes, then I put it back on and I broke out into a sweat again.
Uh-huh.
And Herman was part of that podcast, and he called me after it was over. He goes, was he telling us that he hated the album because he was punching the air? I said, no, dude, he was loving it. That was a
Right.
great compliment. I'd never heard anybody say that.
Right. Wow. Wow. It is an amazing album.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Blood
Thank
In,
you.
Blood Out, October 21st, AMF Records. Congratulations. Would you like to say anything to the fans in conclusion?
I mean, first of all, you look skinny. What happened? Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm doing really good. You know,
You look great, man.
kids get to eat all the food at the house. So like every time I
Yeah,
go in
I
the
know
fridge,
that feeling.
yeah.
I
So
got two
like,
boys here.
I work 6 days a week. I don't have time for too much, except like I try to schedule all my interviews on my time off.
Yep.
So basically, I'm working all the time. You know,
Where do you live now?
I still live in New Jersey.
Oh, cool. I would
Yeah.
love to come through and do some gigs, man.
Oh,
All I can say is, thank you to you and what you do for music and all the people that have stood by me all this time through the ups and the downs. And I saw that Tango Down had released a new album.
right.
Congrats to those guys. I
Mhm.
saw that the other day. I was going through John's page and, um, this is a touring band. This isn't a project. Um, Herman and I, we have a long history, kind of together but not together,
Right.
and it's stirred a hornet's nest in the media, which is fantastic. Because for I knew about it for a long time, and I couldn't talk about it. I
Right.
was doing Blacklist Utopia promotion for my solo album, and somehow the cat got out of the bag, and people started talking about it. And I would say, yeah, something's cooking. I'll let you know. So now I'm free to be able
Right.
to talk about it. But the interest, they were like wanting to talk about that more than my album. And even with Herman, when he was promoting Victory, he's like, listen, is this a Victory interview or you want to talk about Iron Allies?
Right. Yeah.
And they're like, well, we'd kind of like to know what's going on with Iron Allies. And sometimes he'd say, no, this
Yeah.
is a Victory interview.
Right.
So that's a good thing. But, you always knew that question was coming. So where are the rumors? Are they true? And you're like, yeah, it's true, but I can't talk about
Right.
it. But
Nothing.
thank you to everyone. I mean, it's great. I mean, I'm happy. I'm healthy. God's blessed me with keeping it able to sing still. I'm just doing what I do, man.
Cool. Cool. You're looking good, man. Looking good.
Thank you. You too. Yeah, you look skinny. I was like, Rademacher? Is that
Yeah.
you?
Yeah. Yeah. You know.
I lost a bunch of weight too, man. When I put that booze down, it was amazing. It was like I woke up 2 weeks later and I couldn't even put my pants. They wouldn't stay on. I said, there's something good about this that way too.
Yeah. Cool. 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 Well, congratulations. I talk to you later, man.
You too, my friend. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Ciao. Bye bye.